Now, on to more pleasant matters. Martin Scorsese, or Scorsese. I once heard Scorsese pronounce his own name Scorsese.
Hi, who am I speaking to? Cindy, can you put me through to Mr. Scorsese, please? I seem to have misplaced his cell phone number. No, it's okay. I'm a friend of Marty's. I've decided Mike is right. It's time to move on. Yeah, just tell him it's Bernard Smith. That's Smith with an I. No, with an I. S-M-I-T-H. Yes, the normal way of spelling it. Can you put me through, please? Yeah, sure, I'll hold. Acting is a very peripatetic profession. Projects end.
It's a word I haven't said since.
Relationships end. If you can't deal with it, you shouldn't be in this industry. Oh, what do you mean he's never heard of me? I am a friend of Marty's. What, did you even talk to him? Well, can I talk to him for a minute? It's weird. When you're working on a
missed
movie,
that
you
shirt.
develop these really close, intense relationships with the people around you. You become like this tight family or some kind of.
You can see
cult.
Kurosawa
It's a strong bond
to my
with
left
all these creative
and Buster
minds
Keaton to my
focused on
right.
this one thing. Oh, suddenly he's not there. Like I'm supposed to believe that. What, he jumped off
By the way,
window or
this
something?
piece of music,
Final rep.
this is one of my favorite pieces of music, literally,
Leave that
of
character
all
behind. Your
time.
head is no longer in that space. You shed that character like taking off a coat.
I can't pronounce the composer's name, but he's French. It's the guy who composed the score to Le Samurai.
Sometimes it becomes so intense, people just stop talking to you even before the final rap. Sometimes they don't even talk to you after the second day onward. That happens a lot, actually. But that's acting. That's the job. Well, try telling him it's Cornelius Blow. He might know me as Cornelius Blow. You don't want to get stuck playing the same character for too long. Being an actor is a lot like being a shark. You want to keep moving forward or you die. Look at Kelsey Grammer. Well, that's just fine. Let me ask you something, Cindy. When was the last time Marty made a universally acclaimed film? You know, one that everyone agreed was flawless. I'll tell you when. 1983, King of Comedy. Yeah, you're working for a wash-up night. You're working for a fucking industry joke. Bernard! Bernard! Bernard!
Dawson.
Bernard!
We see his face at last.
Very good films.
Dawson from
I got a million ideas of my own.
The Visitor.
I'm a very creative person, actually.
Yeah,
I have ideas all the time.
yeah, sure you do.
My friends often say to me, "Whoa, Bernard, slow down with all the ideas. You're making me dizzy." Shark.
Why do you always do that? You always get carried away and start saying things you don't mean. How about... Well, I just phoned to congratulate Mr. Scorsese on finally winning his Oscar. Something like that.
I forgot about the Oscar. You get so used to Scorsese not having an Oscar, and then the Academy goes and ruins everything.
This script was originally written before Scorsese won the Oscar. It had to be rewritten. It also had to be rewritten with...
I think that's what's
Okay,
great
I'll go
about
into this
YouTube,
in a minute.
Actually. It isn't good for much, but you can get your own ideas out there before they're stolen by some hack and ruined beyond all recognition. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carry on posting, and you are going to see the real Bernard Smith. I'm going to share my ideas with you, and I think it'll be a useful thing. I know a lot of people post videos on YouTube because they're using it as a stepping stone into the industry. Well, I am in that industry, and people will benefit from my expertise and experience. Hello, is Mr. Scorsese around? I would like to congratulate him on finally winning his Oscar. It was long overdue.
That's good. Keep it like that.
Okay.
On my old phone.
Yes, hello, is Mr. Scorsese around? I would like to congratulate Mr. Scorsese on finally winning his Oscar. It was long overdue. Of course, if he will insist on working with talentless pricks like Leonardo DiCaprio...
No.
Oh, but yeah, so that was written before Scorsese won the Oscar. Because Ishmael was so way ahead of me writing the Bernard scripts. In fact, I remember in the background you see my little TARDIS model, and then he incorporated the TARDIS model into one of the scripts, but of course that script is so far down the line I never actually got to it. And of course, that, in the script at least, that's supposed to be Fishhook. Because I think originally when he wrote it, it was just a random friend of Bernard's. But then as he got deeper into it, the character of Fishhook was introduced. And at this stage, Dawson, I think, was going to play Fishhook. But because it was convenient at that time. But then much later, and I was living in Portland, I needed someone else to play him. So that's when I turned to Keith. And so we don't name Fishhook, so you can assume it's someone else. It's a Fishhooky person. But so yeah, unofficially, obviously, it's not official. Well, or officially, I don't know. Officially, not officially, I don't know. But oh yeah, and that was after, man, it had been a long time since I shaved, and I remember shaving for the first time, and my face seemed so tiny. It's never felt that way since. Now whenever I shave, my face just seems enormous. And this was the end of an era, because around this time I finally got a full-time job in Portland, so I was no longer spending my time in Otisfield, Maine. So this was kind of the last video, of the series that I made in that house, the same house where I shot most of the Cornelius videos. And the next video is the first video I made as a resident or resident of Portland.
Hi everyone, this is Jeer YouTube. Well, something. And we are on our third date?
Second date. We're on our second date. And you voted for
You said you were okay with it. I can turn it off if you want me to.
Oh, the traffic.
It's fine. Whatever. It's fine. I said it was.
After that, I lived in Toronto for a while. There really wasn't a whole lot going on in Toronto. Did a couple commercials, though. The trouble with cat food commercials is no matter how good you are, you're always going to be upstaged by the kitten. People are always going, oh, look at the kitten. Because when you're a professional, you put your all into everything, whether it's Chekhov or Samuel Beckett or Easy Clean. It's all the same process. You have to focus. You have to get in the mindset of the character. Easy Clean or Easier Clean. It's a terrible tagline, and you really have to push hard to make a line like that work. And I don't think I get enough credit for that. So Freddie says to me, "You're not supposed to put that in your mouth, asshole." We had a lot of good laughs on that film. Freddie, he's one of the good ones. And then Freddie said, Freddie did this. Oh my God, Fred Savage. But what I really want to do is get my own stuff out there. The acting is great, but what is it?
Turning you to an asshole?
Ephemeral. Acting is very ephemeral. I mean, people have been reading Shakespeare for 400 years, but who remembers William Kemp?
Who is William Kemp?
Exactly. I want to get my own stuff out there. I write.
Oh God, you can see me looking at the script.
All the time. Really good stuff.
That's why I'm wearing my
Really
glasses.
good stuff.
As good as Shakespeare.
Well, yeah, maybe. You write too, don't you? So you know how important it is to get your stuff out there before it's ripped off and ruined by some hack. That happens all the time. You spend months on a project only to find out that some fucker has stolen it from you. Just the other week I came up with an idea and I discovered that by coincidence Lisa Nova had uploaded something very similar on YouTube. Or like the time they stole my idea for Seinfeld.
Your idea for Seinfeld? How did they do that?
I don't know. I think they must have some kind of idea-sucking machine at NBC. I can do a British accent. I could have played that role.
It's the introduction of the idea-sucking machine.
To go by my own sea, savvy. But just because he's Johnny Depp and everyone knows who he is, he gets all the breaks. In this industry, it's all about who you know It's all about self-promotion.
I feel like I've been talking about myself for the last hour and a half. That's very rude of me. I think it must be your turn to speak. So what role do you think I'm best suited to? James Bond or Doctor Who?
I'm leaving.
But you haven't finished your dessert.
I'm on a diet. Look, Bernard, I only agreed to come because you said you knew Fred Savage. I thought you might introduce us. But not even Fred Savage is worth this.
But Gio, wait, I need you to sign a release form for...
นี่มันบ้ามันประสาทอะไรก็ไม่รู้อ่ะมันบอกว่ามันพูดอะไรกับเจ๊ไม่รู้เรื่องเบื่อมันเซ็งมากเลยแล้วมันก็ขอให้จะไซน์ไม่รู้หรอกมันจะเอาวิดีโอไปใส่ YouTube เนี่ยเป็นอะไรก็ไม่รู้นะแม่ทำไมทำอย่างนี้
Oh no, here it comes. Wait. Thank you, Sengtai. Oh, ooh. For that version, I cut it off. Never mind. In the original version, there was a promotion for Brett Keen. Anyway, so I remember at the time, it's not like people hated this one, but certainly compared to all the other ones, it got the most shit, or it seemed to. Enough so that later on, when we did the when Cornelius returns in the special after when we got featured, he mentions Easy Clean as the video people didn't like. and looking at it now, well, for one thing, I'm really unprepared. So much so that I'm wearing my glasses and I'm just not. Whatever hook I had into Bernard, I do not have it in this video. Because I guess I was trying to act believable, kind of. Or like kind of realistic. But like whatever that weird quality that Bernard had that I sort of gave him. And the other like this kind of like aloof, stuck up person. Or like like I was saying, like the Peter Cook, like he's just kind of like, he's just drifting through it all. And that was missing here. So, I don't know, it's the lines, I don't think any of the lines were working just because I wasn't playing it right. Again, because I was unprepared, like it felt like a rehearsal that we just filmed. I think that's pretty much what it was, because I was out of my element. This is the first time shooting on location. So just kind of first time out of my comfort zone, filming at a real location. You can hear like there's so many distracting noises. Yeah, so at worst I think it's sloppy. Also because the crab rangoons on the table, we weren't keeping track. They were just kind of they disappear and then they return. Yeah, but it's okay. I wasn't ready. Like if I had really memorized the lines and if I just kind of nailed the character, that would have played a lot better. But that was Jir, whose family owns the restaurant. It's a great restaurant. It's my favorite place to get Thai food in Portland. Still is. The last 2 times I've been to Portland, I went to Sang Thai. I brought my wife. Yeah, it's a great place. I recommend it if you're in Portland, Maine. Even though in Portland, Maine, there's a lot of great places to eat. So, but if you're up for some Thai, I recommend Sang Thai. How much time do I have? All right, on to the next one. What is this? This is some Polanski film, I think. I don't know what though.
I would like to thank you for as I try to come up with an idea that will work on YouTube.
See, here it is. I'm back in character now.
Very big, powerful ideas, more televisual or cinematic. They just wouldn't work in this medium. Part of being creative comes from an understanding of the medium
didn't play it like this at all in the
For
last scene.
example, you can't really do a crowd scene on a screen that's yay big. That's why Peter Jackson doesn't make his movies on YouTube. Of course, you can probably still watch Peter Jackson movies on YouTube in little 10-minute chunks, so go see if you can find a clip of the Battle of Helm's Deep, and I think you will agree with me, it works much better in a theater. By the same token, nobody needs to see a 20-foot tall Emolina.
So this was my new apartment, and the acoustics are terrible. Also because I had no furniture, I don't think, at that point.
Right off my popcorn. 20-foot tall Numdoll, on the other hand, that is a different story.
Oh,
anyway,
first
the point
Numdoll.
is, you've got to understand the medium that you work in, what works where. But now I've come up with a great new character, much better than that Reverend Cornelius, whatever the fuck his name is, and I think you're just going to love him. I'm going to get him out to you just as soon as I finalize the details and get it down on paper. In the meantime, I would like to offer some friendly advice to those people who are posting their videos on YouTube in the hopes that it will lead to an acting career. Now, personally, I don't mind you people stealing work off professional actors just because you look good on camera and your face is well known. That's just great. The more the merrier. But what you've got to understand is acting is a craft. It's not about looking pretty or being able to say your lines without tripping over them too many times. I know that's worked for Drew Barrymore, but she comes from a very well-respected Hollywood acting dynasty.
What's your problem with Drew Barrymore, Ishmael?
You know, if you want a sustainable career in this industry, you have got to know your craft. You need the skills to survive. Now imagine that me and the guy who plays the blue-collar comedy character, what's it called? Boring Dispatcher.
Oh, goodness. I love how the conceit of this whole series is that everyone on YouTube is an actor.
Mr. YouTube, or the guy who can do this.
Yep, this is my one and only time where I use some of my mime illusions, man, but I was kind of out of practice.
Polanski, this is Bernard Smith. Hello, Mr. Polanski, this is Bernie.
Oh, there's the Of Montreal flyer in the background.
Hello, Mr. Polanski. It's his machine. I hate talking to these things. Hi, Mr. Polanski.
I could not get the camera far enough back to get my whole body in shot, and I didn't have a wide-angle lens at that time.
It's a grapevine that you're casting for your new film, and I'm a really big fan of your earlier work. And your later work, too. I know a lot of people say you completely lost it during the 80s, but they're wrong. There are definitely occasional flashes of the old Polanski in a lot of your work. So I sent you a couple emails with links to my YouTube channel, which I think will appeal to the interesting, absurdist auteur side of you that's still buried in there somewhere. You should check out the Church of Love. Follow me. No. Oh, and I am willing to travel abroad. I know you won't be coming.
Oh, that's
to
not bad
America
walking against the
anytime
wind.
soon,
I'm happy.
which is probably a good thing. I do have some nieces that are around that age. So yeah, check out my work. Thanks, bye.
God, I would almost actually call Polanski just to say those exact things. Yeah, that one still works. Just the sound is shit. But yeah, it was my first time, new apartment. In fact, at that time, I was living in the same apartment with the real Bernard, the one spoken of in Bernard Smith, an introduction, because he was one of those people, even though enough had happened in our lives up until that point where I really should have just should not have let him back into my life. But like, you know, every time I moved back to my hometown, which did happen more than once, you know, I'd come back and it just seemed like all my friends had left. But he was always there. He was always and willing, you know, to be back in my life. And also at this time, I had a thing going, and he really, really, really wanted in on the thing. And I moved into that apartment because it was convenient. It was a very convenient situation. A room was available, and I took it, knowing the risks, knowing it's not a good place to be. I knew it was a temporary situation, but because of it, because I was living there, and Bernard was kind of the landlord had put him in charge, basically. So he was kind of the landlord, or like the on-site landlord, the surrogate landlord, whatever you want to call him. And because of this, because of his role, he considered himself a producer in this series. That's how he described himself. I never gave him that title. He assumed it, and he told people that he was producing. I've never heard of anyone doing that just because if they manage a property, that's something that occurs on that property, that they are a producer. It's probably has happened, actually. And so, and I guess he was actually, he was the one who suggested the restaurant in the previous one. So that did, in his defense, he did take an active role. I think he is also responsible for the bad continuity. I'll just completely throw him under the bus because I would have just left the crab ragoons. I don't care how weird that would have looked, because people did pick out at the time that they just disappeared. And I was like, there's nothing I could do. I had to decide between using the good takes or the ones that, worrying about the continuity, and fuck, because I was usually obsessed with those details. I hate having to. But so it was a weird situation. But for the most part, I just made videos and never ran into them. Thankfully, I've noticed that like sometimes I've moved in like this. The same thing happens in Tacoma where I moved into a friend deliberately, wanting to collaborate with him, and nothing happened while we lived together. I moved into this situation very ambivalent about collaborating with this person, and pretty much nothing happened. There is something about living with a person that will just kind of destroy, that. But yeah, that was a weird period. I think Bernard definitely wanted to be involved with this series. Around this time, a friend of mine who worked for the Portland Phoenix interviewed me talking about the Cornelius Blow stuff. And, I talked about how much I enjoyed working with Ishmael. I don't know what I called him at that point. But because he hadn't chosen the pen name Ishmael yet. But I remember Bernard was really upset about this. Because, again, we had collaborated in high school, when I was a teenager and he was in his late 20s. And, like, the stuff that we made was shit. So, like, and so I was just happy. I was happy to, that I had this flourishing creative partnership with somebody, and that really Bernard didn't like it, and he wanted to get involved in this thing one way or another, and this continued as time went on. So more about that in future installments.